You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Curie, Jeremiah Jensen, thanks for being with us on the program, everybody. We appreciate it. If you missed any part of our show so far, you can always go back and you can listen to the podcast, wherever fine podcasts that you listen to are found. Okay? JJ, good weekend of sports, man.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff. I mentioned a lot of it. And hey, here's a shout out to the Utah lacrosse team winning the ASUN championship, making the NCAA tournament. They'll play Duke on Saturday in the NCAA lacrosse tournament. So a lot of great stuff going on. Lacrosse, soccer, hockey, basketball. We've even got football news to talk about today. We do. In one of the weirdest announcements on Twitter that I've seen in a long time, you had another local weird going on in the transfer portal, maybe the strangest that we've seen in a while. JJ texted to me today and goes, Is this April Fool's, bro? Couldn't tell. I had to check the calendar. I had to actually look and see if it was real, and it is. So that's where we're going to start things off. We're going to get to the cut right here. Our program is brought to you by G2G Bars, all natural ingredients and no preservatives. Make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, nutritious boost. So let's jump in right here.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And the top of the hour, the cut, brought to you this hour by Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com. That's TrajanWealth.com. Joining us on the program, University of Utah football legend and, of course, friend of the program and multiple-time guest of the show as well. We saw this and we had to ask Sly immediately his thoughts on it. Caleb Lohner, once a Utah basketball commit, then turned a BYU basketball commit and then player, then transfers to Baylor, then hits the transfer portal, announces today via Twitter with pictures of him in football gear that he's playing at the University of Utah, playing football, and might even contribute on the court. Sly, this is the strangest announcement I've seen in a long time.
Honestly, the strange, is that just the new norm, right? You know, this is wild stuff coming out every day. Yes. Like, it's just like, let's not be surprised. There's going to be something crazy today. Let's just hope it's nothing bad. But there's a lot of stuff going on in this Utah market, right? This kid, Caleb Lohner, man. Well, looking at him, he looks like a football player out on the basketball course, and his transition seamlessly makes sense. I mean, he's athletic, got a nice build on him, but, like, where did this come from? You know, I can't find anything. I'm trying to look up stuff before we joined the call today, but I can't find anything that represented him playing football. You know, there's no football background, but, you know, just, that's happened with Antonio Gates, right? A lot of these other basketball guys turned football guys that ended up being homers, right? It just made sense. And this guy's a physical basketball player from what I've seen, loves contact. He can jump out of the gym. And there's another asset for Cam Rising. You know, for me, this goes to I'm just going to text you guys right now, but that Brian Windhorst statement. What's going on in Utah? Right? Like
the old meme.
Yeah, this is one of those deals, right?
Why? Like, it's so surprising, so shocking. Football for one, right? And like, this guy's a basketball player, 6'8", 240, basketball guy, right? Everything you've seen, he's been a high school star, number one Utah basketball recruit originally, as you guys stated, committed to the University of Utah. Harlan and Kristoviak let him decommit, go to BYU. where his dad played basketball, just basketball through and through, transfers to Baylor, and now he's back on the open market. JJ, this is what I told you. It's like recruiting never stops.
Yeah. And you better be looking in some weird places too if you're going to get guys and like get an edge somewhere. And yeah, you're right. If you bring one of the best athletes into your room, then there you go. If Kyle Whittingham has his way, is tight end the end game for him? Do you think maybe? I mean, is this like a Nate Orchard, kind of edge rusher type situation? Maybe ultimately, I mean, Kyle Whittingham will find a guy, and if he finds you athletic enough, he'll go, "Hey, man, I'll put you in the league doing X, Y, and Z." I've never seen a 6'8" tight end, but maybe that's the new norm.
Oh, I mean, why not? I think Jimmy Graham was basketball, right, at the University of Miami. He was 6'7". Played against him in the NFL. Like Jimmy Graham's a big body, a basketball guy as well. Same type of thing. This could be exactly what that is. This right here is your red zone threat right here. I mean, you want to go 1-4 personnel, one running back, 4 tight ends. You got Landon King, Carson Ryan, Brant Keithy, and now Caleb Lohner, right? Imagine what you could do with that. Just running a seam route with a 6'8" basketball guy that could jump out of the gym. Who's going to jump with that, right? Throw that jump pass in there. You're at the 18-yard line, right? You get max protection. All you got to do is send him right down the middle and do a jump ball. You got 5-10 safeties. Who's jumping with that? And so I absolutely love this on the offensive side of the ball. But again, to you guys' point, Paul Kruger was a quarterback, converted him to D-end, and he made an excellent jump on that, I would have to say. I thought that was a win. So with Coach Whittingham, you never know. But just put it in the best position to win. I love this, but this is the sad part about this transfer portal in the day and age right now is like, who knows of signing this guy? Who are we going to lose because of that? Who's going to think like my playing time is going to be taken away because you guys are going to put so much focus in on this? And so there's good and bad with every scenario in all of this. But for me, Cam Rising's got to be sitting on high. He's probably on vacation right now and don't even know what's happening right now.
We have no idea what Caleb Lohner is going to be like as a football player. We honestly really have no. We're assuming tight end. Maybe it's DN. I don't know. And Sly, I'll run down a list. You mentioned a couple guys that have made that transition from college basketball to football and had success in the NFL. I'll throw them all out. Antonio Gates. Tony Gonzalez played at Cal. Julius Peppers played at North Carolina. You mentioned Jimmy Graham.
Yep, that's right.
Quentin Rollins played at Miami of Ohio. Rico Gathers played at Baylor. Mo Alley Cox played at VCU. Terrell Owens played at Tennessee Chattanooga. Donovan McNabb was a reserve guard at Syracuse. Antoine Randall L. played at Indiana. Connor Barwin played at Cincinnati. Jordan Cameron, who was once a basketball player at BYU, he ended up playing tight end for the Cleveland Browns after he was done playing tight end at USC after making the transition. So this is not that crazy. It has happened before, and it makes a lot of sense if you've watched Caleb Lohner play basketball. My question for you is, how does that transition take place, and how easy is it? Because you played basketball in high school, so you can somewhat speak to this. How do you make that transition from basketball to football?
It's not hard, especially when you have coaches and staff and people around you who want to make it work. It's not hard. I think the hardest thing that you'd have to learn is how to run on turf, how to get in and out of breaks, and then how to take a hit, right? I don't know if he's physical enough to play on the defensive line. Again, we'll have to say, because in football, it's a lot different than basketball. Football is low man wins, right, in the trenches. And so when you're 6'8", it's very hard to get low. And you can get these Junior Tafunas who's 6'2", 300 pounds, strong as an ox. He'll throw you and make you look like a rag doll if you want to get into the mix. But, again, if he's on the offensive side of the ball and we're not looking at him to be any kind of running threat, we just look at him to run the football, again, line him up in the seam where he's not close to the line of scrimmage where he can get muddled up in all the mess, and have him just run a seam route right down the hash marks and just throw the ball up to him. Nice touch pass. That's 15 yards every single time. This guy comes down with the football, and he can lay down for another 5 yards. Like, he can lay on the ground for another 5 yards. He's 6'8", 6'9", and, he can make that happen. And I said, watching him in basketball, he's a physical body. And so, he loves to get in there and mix it up. So, really anxious to see what, Utah has planned for him, why this makes sense. He went to Wasatch Academy, so it's a local high school out here. Of course, he grew up in Texas, but he has Utah roots, so this isn't foreign for him.
Mm-hmm.
This is just going to be very, very interesting. Can't wait.
Tight end roster for the spring at Utah. Okay, Dallin Bentley, Cody Christensen, Frankie Goodson, Colby Howard, C.J. Jacobson, Landon King, Brant Keithy, of course, Carson Ryan, Mickey Sugaturaga, and Luke Tucker.
Mickey, I forgot about Mickey.
I know. See, that's the thing is that I'm trying to think right now, the guys who have gotten reps, Sugaturaga, Keithy, obviously, Landon King. We've heard good things about Dallin Bentley, but as soon as that's a long list, by the way, of tight ends, and
long list,
and Coach Whittingham's brother Freddie Jr. I think he's going to have a thing or two, obviously, up his sleeve for these guys. But that's a long list of tight ends. So where do you see him fitting in, kind of immediately, as a guy who's got a couple years left of eligibility?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, with this transfer portal, I don't know who has how many years or what on anything. Honestly, this guy could have a 1 year and done type thing where he just has such a tremendous year. He just makes it happen. But as you said, you got Mickey Sugaturaga, you got Landon King, who made a great uprising with no offense last year, so he made a name for himself. Carson Ryan, who's coming from UCLA, he has a great athletic track record, but he's a big burly guy that can make things happen. And this tight end position is normally, when you're looking at an offense, you're only looking at one tight end on the field at a time. And you just listed off 7 to 8 guys, 7 to 8 quality guys, right? And so it's like, who else is in the Big 12? Like the Big 12 doesn't have any tight ends. Everybody just wanted to come over here to Utah. But literally, you can go through many different personnels, from 13 personnel. We took advantage of that back in 2021 with Cole Fartheringham, Dalton Kincaid, and Brant Keithy. And now we can do that again. Interchange that. Mickey Sugaturaga, he's literally an extra O lineman out there. Carson Ryan is a flexible guy. He can make things happen, block on the edge. We know Brant Keithy's extremely physical. Landon King as well. He's put on some weight this offseason. He's physical. He's getting in the mix, but he's an outstanding receiver. But just look at that. We just signed Damian Alford as well, right? That's a whole package in itself, right? Let's just call this package the Monstars. We got Damian Alford, 6'6". You got Landon King, who's 6'5". You got Caleb Lohner, who's 6'8", 6'9". You throw Brant Keithy in there. You got Manir McLean in there. That's just the Monstars in there. That's 4 or 5 guys you could just freaking go in there with athletic guys and just say, hey, this is a Hail Mary at the end of the half. We're going to come down with it. Simple as that. Yeah, we're going to wall everybody off and just have Caleb Lohner go up there and get it. Touchdown at the end of the half. And that's just a luxury that we have. We'll literally be playing with people out there. This is, JJ, we talk about having me offensive coordinator playbook. I could do so much with this lineup. All right, you guys talked about all the guys. We still got Money Parks on the roster. Tayshawn Lyons, Zipprier is a freshman that's making some noise into the rotation. Dorian Singer, Micah Pittman had a good spring. Manir McLean's coming back off of injury, but he's going to be extreme focus here come training camp. Brant Keithy, we got talent all over the place. Mekhi Bernard, all over the place. So Utah's the place to be right now if you want to play offense.
I never thought anyone would say that ever.
Right?
You just said that on the radio, Sly. You just said that on the radio. But you're right. Especially if you're one of these big physical guys, this is a great place to be. And you got a quarterback in Cam Rising that can get you the football, and I'm sure that they're going to be really invested in throwing the football this year, because I think that's really their strength, which is crazy to think at Utah. Their strength is the pass game this year. You're not looking at there's not like this go-to Zach Moss type running back this year, right? At least there hasn't been one that's emerged yet. Is that really the case? Are we looking at a Utah team that could throw the ball more than they run this year?
Oh, for sure. Why not is the question, right? And as I said, I think Cam Rising, he's made a lot of noise in the recruiting and the being drafted next year, ranked. I mean, what he did at Pro Day, I was watching Pro Day, and it was like a workout for him, it felt like. All the scouts knew him. All the scouts were loving him. He was throwing guys the ball. He was in complete control, showed his health, and that was before spring ball. He looked great. So why not take that into the season, right? This guy is ready to go. He had enough time off to heal, build confidence in that injury. I just see him exploding on the scene. Our schedule is favorable. As far as lining up, we have some good competition early in the season where we should be healthy, right? I think, during a football season, especially with the rules and how people prep for seasons now, I think that you have more season-ending injuries than ever. With this kind of depth, we can go from speed, a speed lineup with Tayshaun Lyons, Money Parks, Dorian Singer, Micah Pittman, go to a big lineup with all tight ends and Brant Keithy, Miki Sugataranga, Landon King, Carson Ryan, and now Caleb Lohner. Like, we can do so many different things. Our depth allows us to be flexible. Our depth allows us to have some extreme rotation that nobody will be able to game plan. You know how hard on defense it is to game plan for a team that can do everything? Normally there's certain teams that these guys run the football. We need to make sure our techniques run the football well. On the offensive side of the ball, they have the Monstars. They have the speed lineup. They have the multi-versatile big package where you could have the QB run game. You could do so many. You could do Wildcat with Mekhi Bernard. You could do so many things in this offense. I'm getting excited with just the possibilities of the plays that I would run with this type of lineup, man. So it's exciting times to be a Utah fan, I tell you that much.
It's fascinating to see what's going to happen with Caleb Lohner. I think that, we'll make something out of it obviously today, and then when it comes down to it, it's, you better go out there and outplay these guys for some playing time. But there's part of me too that goes, I don't know if I want to see this happen. I don't know if I want to see the success at this. You know why? Because every freaking guy is going to be like, I tried my hand at basketball, and I'm 6'7". I'm going to play tight end at the University of Utah. I'm going to play tight end at BYU. Because now, guess what we have today? A bunch of people going to BYU's roster in basketball going, I wonder if any of these guys can work out for football. That's the way that this happens now. That's what happens, Sly. People are going to go, if this experiment works, it's going to be people overreaching and thinking that a guy on their basketball roster is going to work out for them in football. But it's fascinating either way. And I know I just named off 10 guys in the tight end room at Utah already, but the most fascinating one right now, maybe besides Brant Keithy, is Caleb Lohner for me, just to see what exactly happens. So I'm all for it.
You know who doesn't care about that? Is these recruiting coaches.
Of course not.
There's just more option pool for them to pull from. There's more talent. It's not just in the football transfer portal. You can find it anywhere. This is awesome. I didn't even know this guy was interested in football, but I'm telling you, this could translate.
He didn't know either. He didn't know either until today.
Wow.
They go, hey.
A birdie told me he was at the 22 Forever game, so now we know why.
Right. And you go, hey, okay, we're going to take some pictures of you in some Utah basketball gear. Hey, whoops, how'd this helmet get in here? Put it
shoulder
on.
pads. Do you like this? Do you like that?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've also got some shoulder pads. Let's play around here with it. Let's just have some fun with it. Stevenson Sylvester, you can always catch Sly on KSL 5 Television, KSL Sports Live with JJ on the weekends, and then, of course, twilighting on our show as well sometimes.
And FTW 360.
Hey, look at that. Yes, you can still.
Got the app plug in there, Sly.
You got the app plug in,
yes,
and
sir.
That's where he's doing such great work. All right, Sly, we appreciate it, man. We'll chat with you again.
Thanks, fellas.
There you go. He's
fascinating.
He's all about it. I don't care where you get these guys. You know what? Is Tiki Aliotiki? Is he for sure going somewhere else?
I think he'd be an excellent rush end.
6'10". What is
actually
he?
BYU's looking for a punter.
6'9", 6'10". Ooh,
Tiki Aliotiki, isn't he like 6'10"?
Yeah.
Why not?
Is Foose any good?
Oh, oh my gosh, Foose would be an amazing football player.
Could you imagine that?
You're
guy?
joking.
No, I'm not.
Think about
I'm not.
it.
I'm saying the guys I really
play in the NBA. He's undersized to play in the NBA.
Yeah,
so where would Foose make it as a pro?
As
a football player.
Because what is he? What is Foose weigh? Probably 260. He's 6'6", like 250 maybe 260. Maybe I'm making him too big. 6'6", 240, edge rusher. Boom.
6'6". They don't list weight for basketball players on the roster.
Come on, Tyson, list their weight.
Foose would just absolutely kill it.
I know.
On a football field.
If you said, hey, you've also got some eligibility, it's just a nightmare for these coaches. Because when Caleb Lohner said, yeah, and I'm going to try my hand on the basketball court, that's what I was going to ask Sly maybe at the end if we had more time, is just to be like, now what about transitioning back into basketball? Is that something that if you've got a future in football, like your coaches are like, don't freaking pick up a basketball.
Kaufusi brothers did it quite well.
Yeah. But even then, Corbin was the best of them, right? Corbin was probably the one that had the most basketball, and he was asked to play the most.
He was a little taller.
So he was tall, so
he was
it worked
like
out.
6'9".
But
he was a really, really good high school basketball player.
Right, but at some point, they were like, he went full on into football, right? It's good because it's just too much. It's already a lot to ask these kids. Now, here's the other question. Do you double dip on the NIL money?
Heck yeah, you do.
You get basketball NIL money and football NIL money. Why not? Caleb Lohner playing both. He might be the highest paid guy behind Cam Rising after this. All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got our NFL Blitz around the corner. The first that we're able to hear from Kingsley Suamataia in a Kansas City Chiefs jersey at the podium at his rookie press conference. So stay right here with us. More to go. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I call him Uncle. That's a BYU legend right there. I called him Uncle when I first came here on my 30th visit. And just being able to practice with him, he's very quiet, but when he has his words that he has to say, it definitely hits hard, hits home for me. So just gaining as much knowledge from him too. He knows a lot about our offense, and just chopping up with him whenever I can, whenever he has the time. It feels like family just being here, so it makes it more better and more comfortable.
That's brand new Kansas City Chief Kingsley Suamataia taking the podium for the first time today. Those brand new rookies at their first podium, and everybody just asking him all the questions. And of course, he was the first Chief. Was he the first Chief taken in the draft? He was the first one at the podium today. So either way, I can't remember. As if they need a bunch of extra.
No, there was Xavier Worthy, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
the wideout.
Nice, I mean, the
wideout
Chiefs
from
had
Texas.
a good draft.
Yeah, man.
At least just at the top.
Just what they needed. You know, they've been so down and out.
Yeah, it's good to see that franchise finally catch a break.
Oh, my goodness. So, by the way, join Jake and Ben at Destination Homes' newest community, Trailside in Layton on Friday, 10 to noon. Games, snacks, giveaways, and more. 1800 West Gordon Avenue. Go check them out. The NFL Blitz. So there's that part right there. And here's what he had to say about being a Chief and how excited he is about getting to work here.
You know, just taking it day by day. It's crazy. He was sitting back talking with a lot of the guys that I met at the Combine, Jared Wiley and Xavier. Just talking with them, like, it's crazy that we're actually here now. Every day we're waking up and putting on Chiefs gear. So it's definitely, I don't really feel like I've kind of like settled in, like, okay, I'm here now. But it's just a blessing being here.
Just love waking up every day here in Kansas City, looking out the window and seeing, you know, stuff that Kansas City is.
It's not about what you can see in Kansas City, it's what you can smell.
Oh, boy.
Lots of good barbecue in Kansas City.
There you go. That's all that matters.
That puts a smile on your face now, doesn't it?
That's right. Now, Patrick Mahomes came up, and Patrick Mahomes, it behooves him to make good friends with the guys who could potentially be protecting his butt.
Patrick was probably the second guy that hit me up getting ready. He said he's fired up, so just trying to get in the playbook as fast as I can. You know, best help our O-line and the team. So Patrick has been a great mentor as well. Like, just waking up to a message from him, it just blows my mind.
Fired up to have you here, man.
Hey, welcome to the team.
Really excited.
Can't wait to win a Super Bowl with you.
Patrick Mahomes here. My Holmes.
Really look forward to it.
It just keeps getting more froggy.
Coach Reed said some awesome things about you.
Hiya, Kingsley. Oh, my goodness. All right. Now, one thing that was brought up was, everybody keeps telling him how big of a freak athlete he is. But he did talk about stuff he wants to get better at with his game. One of those things is pass protection.
I think it was a kind of mixture of the same as what the coaches saw, stuff I could get better at. I think the number one thing was my pass pro, so that's why I've just been working ever since this offseason started. So just getting better on that, little stuff like hand placement and my footwork. Yeah, just letting it roll from there.
Where do you think he's going to end up? Is he going to end up being a starter in this Chiefs offense in the next couple of seasons?
Yes. They didn't draft him in the second round without having that expectation for him. There's no doubt about it. And they need him. They need him to provide depth this year and probably be the starter next year, if not this year. He better be ready.
Andy Reid has a certain culture like that he kind of builds in a city like that, and he obviously wanted a guy like Kingsley on their team, and I think they're pretty excited about it. But what does having Andy Reid picking you, obviously it's not just him, but you're coming out of BYU, you're the second pick for them in this draft. I would think that there'd be a massive amount of pressure on Kingsley, not just being in the NFL, but to which team he got drafted and who he's going to be playing for there.
I say it's the opposite. I think that there's a comfort for him. I think if Kingsley went to a place where he didn't have that BYU tie to the head coach, if he didn't have as solid of a head coach, I mean, is he going to be worried about Andy getting fired in the offseason? Of course not. No. Mm-hmm. So there's stability there. It's a great organization, even though some players don't think so. I think that it's a perfect spot for Kingsley to land. A, you're with a BYU guy who is invested in you succeeding, and B, you're in a place where everybody succeeds because it's a winning organization, and C, you fill a need. They need Kingsley to be his best in order for them to succeed and win another Super Bowl. And so that's what they're going to ask him to do. I think it's a great situation for Kingsley. I think the pressure's off of him because he's going to a place where he is comfortable, where he has a coach that he calls uncle. That matters.
Uncle Andy. When he's yelling at you from the sidelines, it's not Uncle Andy anymore. He's your boss.
Yeah, that.
There's that part.
Although, who doesn't have an uncle that's yelled at you a little bit, huh?
Yeah. No, for sure. You want to be the fun uncle, but when it comes down to it, when they're throwing food at your house, my goodness, it gets nasty quick, right? So there you go. There's your first goings on there in Kansas City for Kingsley. By the way, did you see this story about an unnamed NFL talent evaluator?
Unnamed, huh?
Hate that. Like, could we call ourselves
BS on this? Total BS.
If I don't say my name, could I call myself an unnamed talent evaluator?
You can.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. Says that he would have taken Shedeur Sanders over Caleb Williams.
No, you wouldn't have.
Had he left Colorado for the draft this year.
You would not have done that.
A GM said Sanders would have been in the conversation with Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels at the top.
Oh, breaking news. We have learned who the unnamed NFL evaluator is.
Who is it?
Coach Prime.
There you go.
Coach Prime thinks that Shedeur would have been taken over Caleb Williams. Whoa, Caleb Sanders. I just created
a What was the mix that I had
character
earlier?
On Madden or something. What was
the mix I had earlier today? Oh, the Thunderwolves.
The Thunderwolves.
Oh my goodness, the Thunderwolves is the best mascot ever.
The Thunderwolves are the next dynasty in the NBA.
If we don't have the Utah Thunderwolves as our new mascot here for the hockey team, I'm going to be pissed. Take out that trademark. All right? I'm not sure what I think about this just because all it means to me is that everything is absolutely watered down. Like Shedeur Sanders and Caleb Williams, we don't know how good Caleb Williams is going to be. Do we look at Shedeur Sanders as being a once-in-a-generation talent, though?
No.
He's once-in-a-generation something.
He's got to win more than 4 games at Colorado. Right?
Yes. Says that they would have been in the mix with Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels there at the top. It's like, are we kidding?
Jaden Daniels won a Heisman Trophy. Caleb Williams won more games than he ever should have with that offensive line.
And a Heisman Trophy.
And a Heisman Trophy. Shedeur Sanders, what have you done? You've won 4 games.
And you diss all the guys that leave your program.
What you did at Jackson State was great. What you did at Colorado, not good enough. Go out and prove that you can be a quarterback at a higher level, be a better leader. He hasn't done that so far, as the leadership is lacking, clearly. And the poor judgment that he showed here in the offseason are ripping kids that are transferring out of the program.
Oh, by the way, did you see this? We didn't even get to talk about it. This just broke a few minutes ago. Victor Wembanyama. Are you sitting down for this? Your Rookie of the Year in the NBA.
Wow, what a shock.
Joining David Robinson and Tim Duncan as the other 2 big men from San Antonio.
Who saw that coming?
You know, certainly not him. What's funny about it is that he's lived up to quite a bit of the hype without really being insane this year, right? Like, everyone looked and went, what a freak. He had some crazy moments. He absolutely deserves Rookie of the Year. Although Chet Holmgren had a really freaking nice year too. But you can't stop that train.
No.
Wemby would have had to have gone out there and absolutely crapped the bed to not win that award this year.
Even that wouldn't have prevented him from winning Rookie of the Year. What does a little evening accident have to do with you
pretty low bar.
Not winning the Rookie of the Year? I'm sure
evening accident.
What are we talking about here?
Hey, Mom. I got to go to practice. Could you clean this up?
I crapped the bed.
I got to win Rookie of the Year. JJ says it's all but wrapped up for me. My goodness.
I got to go win Rookie of the Year. I don't have time to clean up my own mess.
An evening accident. Oh, my gosh. Okay. We're going to take the break here. We'll come back.
I mean, that is quite a feat, crap in the bed, let's be honest. I don't know. Why is that such a sign of failure? That's an amazing thing to do. It's really hard to do.
All right. We've got our best and worst up next. So stay right here with us, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
That's right. Welcome back. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us. Yes, wrapping up the hours we always do with our best and worst. Our best and worst, of course, today, as usual, brought to you by the folks at the Doug Smith dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork. Great service starts with know-how, and nobody knows like Doug. Here, Doug. Let me see here. So, I mean, here's the thing, JJ. Of all the things that happened over the weekend, there was a lot of it was actually a surprisingly good sports weekend. I don't want to say surprisingly. I mean, you had the Kentucky Derby, NBA playoffs.
2 Game 7s.
Yes.
NHL playoffs.
NHL playoffs as well.
Yep.
We bid adieu to our beloved Golden Knights.
Yes. Rest in peace now.
It's hard to win another Stanley Cup.
Vegas tears are delicious. I'm starting to start a rivalry. I have no idea.
I know, but that's the thing is, like, get them in the same division. You know what I mean?
There you go.
I already hate Denver. I already hate Colorado.
Just by nature.
You don't have to convince me on that.
Trying to get credit for the Rockies when
I want to get. That's
Denver's
exactly
flat as a
right.
pancake.
Whenever people picture, that's why they filmed Dumb and Dumber. Like the cityscapes of, like, you know, the backdrop, because they were like, oh, they got to Denver and they were like, oh, we should probably go to a place where there are mountains.
Looks like Kansas City.
Right. Come on. All right. So, of all the things that happened this weekend, though, the Tom Brady roast was pretty darn fun. I know it was a shock, but it was inappropriate. My kids had a heck of a time trying to follow all the jokes.
For those of you who have a hard time with dirty jokes and swearing, pass. For the degenerates like us that watched it and laughed, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
They had a good mix. All the normal roasting comedians were there, Jeff Ross and his friends, and they brought it. And it was funny.
Right, and you know, of all the stuff, and we already kind of talked about some of the, we tap danced around all the people who were saying all the inappropriate stuff. But Drew Bledsoe got up there, and he and Tom Brady apparently have been friends for a long, long time. Aside from the fact that, because you could be a very bitter Drew Bledsoe, and instead they've been friends for a long time.
It could be a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation.
Yeah, it could always be.
But
awkward.
It hasn't been.
No, and you don't invite your non-friends to the roast.
Right.
So you let your friends roast you, especially if you're a snowflake athlete, which we discussed earlier. That's what a lot of these guys are, which is just like they have the hardest time listening to any kind of criticism. And but this was this was my favorite part was Drew Bledsoe getting up and of all the things, now so many Tom Brady jokes obviously for the whole night, and it is pretty hard to get after a guy who's pretty perfect during his playing time in New England. But Drew Bledsoe, of course, goes after him. This is what he had to say about it.
Buddy, you have more rings than I do, but I've experienced a couple things that you will never experience. The feeling of being the number 1 overall draft pick in the NFL and a 28th wedding anniversary. It was yesterday.
That's great. That was good stuff. So, of all the things we already talked about, I did not want to skip over Drew Bledsoe, and partly because it was one of the only clips we could play without the cusses.
Exactly.
So,
you know what the best joke of the whole roast was?
What was
it? Was
it?
made by somebody who wasn't even there.
Oh, it was like a tweet?
Eli Manning.
Oh, boy.
During the roast, or right after, said this. He said on Twitter, quote, "I thought about attending the roast of Tom Brady last night, but I did not want to roast him for a third time."
Oh, boy.
Eli getting in on the action.
You think he had a writer? He had writers helping with that one too. Everybody else is getting writing help.
If you've watched the Manning cast, the Manning brothers are pretty sharp, man.
Well,
they are witty and funny guys.
Absolutely. But if you're Eli Manning, you have nothing. The guy's got nothing on you. The guy's got nothing on you. And
Not
you know
one
what?
Thing.
That's like the kind of, because there's sometimes where these roast comedians will actually kind of roll out stuff that was on the cutting room floor, and sometimes you're like, why didn't you put that in? It's just a time thing.
Yeah,
you don't invite Eli Manning for that very reason. If Tom Brady beat him twice, Eli Manning's on that dais, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, the worst, of course, happens to be anytime Pat Riley. If Pat Riley's talking, is it safe to say that Pat Riley's like the Godfather? I mean, literally looks like he's one of the Goodfellas. Is he the Godfather of basketball right now as it sits, or is that kind of a Jerry West?
Pat Riley looks like he knows where the bodies are buried.
That's
you know
what I'm saying.
mean?
Yes, ever since I was a kid.
I'm not sure I would mess with Pat Riley.
The hair is still slicked back.
Oh, yeah.
But you remember when you were a kid and you're like, this guy looks mean. I don't know if I'd want to play for this guy, but he was a winner. And if he talks, you listen, especially because he runs the Miami Heat. I bet Jimmy Butler is probably listening. Here's what he had to say this weekend after the Jimmy Butler trolls of Boston were pretty hefty, but it's tough when you're not playing, and that's exactly what Coach Riley had to say.
For him to say that, I thought, is that Jimmy trolling or is that Jimmy serious? If you're not on the court playing against Boston or on the court playing against the New York Knicks, you should keep your mouth shut in your criticism of those teams.
Yeah, the criticism of teams who are still in the playoffs. Also,
if you're wondering, this is what Jimmy Butler said. He said, quote, "If I was playing, Boston would be at home. New York damn sure would be at home. Josh Hart, ? Come on, man."
Oh.
Yeah, the Heat just lost, and they were the 8th seed. And Pat Riley's right here. That's a situation to watch during the offseason.
Yeah, but you know what? He's not wrong. That's what happened last year. Maybe he's just pointing out historically.
Maybe Jimmy's right. I don't know.
It's pretty hard to, because what did he have when he single-handedly won the entire playoffs almost with this Miami? Because he had he had a couple of 50-point games.
It was
in
an
the playoffs.
incredible run last year, and you're thinking this is one of the best 5 players in the game,
right?
Maybe top 3.
And
he was that good in the postseason, and has been multiple years.
Injuries, you can't talk trash when you're injured from the bench and from Twitter. You know what I mean? That's just not a good look. So there you go. There's your best and worst. And Jimmy Butler, we'll see you next year. Hey, Jimmy Butler in a Jazz uniform, is that what you were saying? We'll see what happens in the offseason.
5 years ago, yes. Jimmy's getting up there.
I don't know. Anybody who's available, I go. Could he play for the Utah Jazz?
Jimmy will be 35 when the next season starts. I don't think people realize that. Jimmy's great, but I don't know you want a 35-year-old Jimmy Butler with this young Jazz group. But you're right. Every single player in the league that has some kind of, is he going to leave? Does he want out? We're like, how would he look at the Jazz uniform? We're going to do that the entire offseason until July.
It's a terrible habit to get in. Because you just assume that everybody would be available. You're like, why don't they just go and get Joel Embiid? Because they're going to blow that up in Philadelphia. He's like, no, that's not how this works. So we'll see. All right, we'll take the break here. We'll come back. We've got more around the corner. Stay right here with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.